Welcome back to our channel where we share updates and untold stories about Catherine, Princess of Wales, and her royal family. Today, we bring you some news. Prince William shocked after hearing King's last request from Princess Anne. The British monarchy is going through a very difficult time right now because of health problems, evident divisions within the monarchy, and big uncertainties about its future. The recent news that both King Charles III and Catherine, the Princess of Wales, had cancer has broken the conventional image of royalty as being untouchable and put the royal family under a lot of public scrutiny. This group of events has thrown off the carefully planned transition that happens when a new king or queen takes the throne. It has also brought more attention to the next generation of leaders, showing once again how the monarchy's main actors' expectations, limitations, and emotional burdens have changed over time. The institution is now forced to change quickly to deal with situations it didn't want or fully expect. King Charles has long wanted a slimmed-down monarchy, which would be smaller, more focused on its mission, and more in accordance with modern social and fiscal values. This idea has now been put to the test in a very real way, because two of the family's most senior members are temporarily stepping down from public-facing tasks for health concerns. The duties that are usually shared among a larger group of working royals have been given to a smaller group. That concentration of duty has brought to light not only the practical effects of succession, but also the less tangible traits of leadership, such as personal character, the ability to stay strong in tough times, and the ability to talk to a public that is always watching royal life through the media. The monarchy's problem is both structural and symbolic. The House of Windsor has gotten a lot of its public support from rituals' consistency and the meticulous planning of duties throughout the years. Weddings, jubilees, investitures, and the planned presence of many working royals have long been the obvious signs of a stable monarchy. Modern pressures such as increased scrutiny of government spending, faster media cycles, a societal expectation for openness, and the advent of social media as a way for people to talk about public issues have slowly worn away the insulation that used to let the institution handle crises at its own speed. The current health issues make this friction very clear. Conventional ways of progressive succession and private recovery are now colliding with an impatient critical public and a news environment that never sleeps and wants answers right now. In this new world, the positions of Prince William the next, in line to the throne, and his wife Catherine have become even more important. William's upbringing and adult life have been geared toward becoming king one day. However, the current situation has put him in the difficult position of having to support both his father and his wife through serious medical issues, while also keeping up with his public duties and caring for young children. People have long seen William's public character as a bridge between the rich past and the practical present. This persona was fashioned by early lost military service academic experience and a conscious effort to create a contemporary duty-oriented royal. These conflicting demands create a lot of stress and make things more complicated. This shows the human side of institutional symbolism, the private compromises, the late-night briefings, the changing calendars, and the constant struggle between family needs and constitutional duties. At the same time, Catherine's perceived importance to the future of the monarchy has grown even when she hasn't been in the public eye. Her rise from an average family background to a top position in the House of Windsor is a good illustration of how modern royals have adapted. This change was defined by quiet tenacity and strategic concentration. Her rise is better understood as the cumulative result of nearly 2 decades of careful navigation of royal obligations than as a sudden emergence. To comprehend the present condition of the monarchy and to anticipate how it might develop, one must examine the formative experiences, personality traits, and public responses associated with its principal figures, and particularly with the woman who has come to function as a stabilizing presence. Catherine Middleton's formative years were not defined by inherited luxury, but by a familial setting marked by diligence and autonomy. Her parents Michael and Carol Middleton moved from jobs with British Airways to start Party Pieces, a successful mail-order firm for party supplies. They lived in the hamlet of Chapel Row in Berkshire. That business environment taught their 3 kids the principles of hard work, responsibility, and being able to do things well. Reports of the family home stress structure, mutual support, and the need for personal initiative, things that eventually shaped how Catherine acted in public. This kind of upbringing was different from the aristocratic norms that rule royal circles. Catherine's early upbringing included going to school, playing team sports, and working in the family business. These things helped her feel at home in the world beyond the palace and gave her a sense of comfort that many people could relate to. That background became one of her most significant assets. It made her seem more like a real person than a royal, which is a crucial trait for a contemporary royal figure who wants to be seen as legitimate. In a society where issues of class privilege and representation are often on people's minds, her relative ordinariness made a story that the monarchy could both cherish and utilize to bond with a lot of people in the UK. Her time at Marlborough College, a well-known co-ed boarding school, helped her establish the traits that would later characterize her public image. People in her class and her teachers frequently said that she was quietly confident instead of trying to get attention. She was very good in sports, especially hockey and tennis, which are often mentioned. She was competitive and good at working with others. She was focused and diligent when it came to school. Others who saw her at this time say she was peaceful, liked to listen instead of talking over others, and didn't seem like she was entitled or defiant. Those traits, calmness, modesty, and a focus on working together, were perfect for the social demands of royal life, where being discreet and being able to represent the institution without letting your personality take over are highly valued. Because she didn't feel entitled to anything as an aristocrat and had a strong sense of duty and steadfastness, she took a set of principles and coping skills with her when she joined the royal circle. She wasn't ready for a title. She was ready for the severe public scrutiny and discipline that comes with being in the public glare. Her regular life outside the palace, work, education, and family gave her the mental tools she needed to deal with the stress that would come later. Those experiences also taught me how to work with others, plan ahead, and how important it is to create relationships over time instead of looking for quick praise. Catherine and Prince William initially met in a serious fashion at the University of St. Andrews in Scotland. The school has ancient buildings and is near the shoreline. William's choice to travel to St. Andrews in 2001 was part of a well-worked-out plan to protect him, at least in part, from the press's constant scrutiny. The plan gave him some solitude throughout his time at university. In this somewhat safe space, away from the constant attention that had followed him for much of his boyhood, he and Catherine, both art history students at the time, began to build a connection that subsequently turned into a love relationship. Their early relationship didn't seem like a planned fairy tale. Instead, it grew out of their shared school routines, living in St. Salvator's Hall, and other common student experiences. William felt in Catherine a link to everyday life. She wasn't part of the aristocratic group that had been around him, and many people said she didn't care about his standing. That realness and the lack of fake reverence made their friendship last. In their second year, living off campus with friends let them grow their relationship in ordinary ways, including sharing meals, doing things together, and dealing with the everyday problems of living with other people. These modest, unremarkable moments of working together were really important for building trust and a feeling of equality. The privacy agreement with the press was very important. Because they were alone, their connection could grow in a way that would not have been possible otherwise. It helped them build a foundation of knowledge and strength before outside interest grew. People who knew them at that time say they had a loving, balanced relationship where Catherine's down-to-earth stability helped William deal with the duties he had inherited and the tragic memories of his mother, Diana. It was a quick change from being a private student to being in the public eye. After they graduated in 2005, Catherine, now the serious girlfriend of the heir apparent, was the focus of a very harsh and critical media. The press, no longer bound by the previous arrangement, looked into every part of her life, including her family history, her choice of clothes, and even her job as an accessories buyer for the retail brand Jigsaw. Tabloid coverage used negative terms like "Waity Katie" to mean impatient with the couple's slow engagement, which showed a culture of hostile conjecture. This time showed how fame, privacy, and gendered expectations were evolving. Catherine, as a woman in a public relationship, had to cope with a lot of stress. She was expected to fit into an idealized feminine mold, and people were often talking about her looks and speculating about her personal reasons and timings. The media frequently turned little facts into stories about ambition or manipulation, which is a common trend in tabloid culture. Many people were shocked by how much she was being followed. Cameras chased her stories about her plans spread, and the safety she had felt at St. Andrews disappeared. People couldn't help but compare the media's intrusive attention to Princess Diana's, which was upsetting, and William publicly asked the media to stop. But in this situation, Catherine showed amazing self-control. She didn't get into public fights with reporters, didn't fuel rumors, and mostly stayed calm. She might have been angry or defensive, but instead she stood up and quietly persevered. This time, which was full of unwanted attention, was like a rigorous and informal apprenticeship on how royal life works. It gave me first-hand knowledge of the tense relationship between the monarchy and a journalistic culture that is frequently driven by sensationalism. Her ability to handle constant public criticism without complaining or making a big deal out of it showed that she was strong on the inside and focused on her duties in the long run rather than on being famous in the short term. Even a short break from William in 2007, which was said to be caused by the stresses of public life, made their relationship stronger in the end. Later, Catherine admitted that the hard times had helped her develop as a person. The experience also taught me how important it is to control the story, how to utilize official communication strategically, and how to stay cool amid a crisis. In October 2010, William asked Catherine to marry him in Kenya. He gave her a ring that had a lot of meaning, the sapphire and diamond engagement ring that had belonged to his mother Diana. This decision has many different meanings. It paid tribute to Diana and linked the ongoing saga of the royal family to the emotional imprint her life and terrible death had left behind. When Catherine accepted the ring, it meant that she was not only committing to marry him, but also to join a very complicated public inheritance, a family full of love loss and great scrutiny. The couple's engagement sparked a worldwide curiosity and comparison. The media and the public started to judge Catherine based on how famous Diana was. These side-by-side evaluations set a standard that could not be met. Catherine, on the other hand, did not try to copy Diana's way of being upfront about her feelings. Instead, she handled the parallel with both respect and distinction, recognizing the late princess's ongoing symbolic presence, but also coming up with her own way of doing royal tasks. Diana was known for being very empathetic and ready to talk candidly about her own problems in public. Catherine, on the other hand, has tended to be more reserved and stable in her public appearances. About 2 billion people across the globe watched their wedding on April 29, 2011 at Westminster Abbey. It combined old ceremonial traditions with new ones that fit the couple's time period. People spoke a lot about how calm Catherine was throughout the ceremony. She seemed serene and confident of herself in front of a lot of people. After being married, Kate took on royal duties as the Duchess of Cambridge in a slow and deliberate way. Instead of quickly building a large portfolio of public engagements and patronages, she chose to listen and learn first. This helped her find areas where she might make long-term contributions. At first, she was mostly interested in children's health, mental health, and addiction. Eventually, this led her to make a strong commitment to early childhood development, where she tried to promote evidence-based therapies that may have a lasting effect on society. The royal family has traditionally combined personal passion with public responsibility. In Catherine's instance, her emphasis on early years shows that she values long-term social investment. Researchers have demonstrated that early childhood interventions, such as help with parenting, early education, and health, have positive effects on many social indices. Addressing these issues shows a willingness to use systemic preventative methods instead of quick fixes. Catherine's approach, funding research, bringing together specialists, and quietly lobbying over time, shows that she knows that to make a real difference in social policy, you need to be patient, have evidence, and work with academics and practitioners. While Catherine was solidifying her position, the monarchy was going through a time of trouble within itself. The carefully crafted picture of a united family was put to the test from many sides. Prince Harry and Meghan, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, said in 2020 that they would no longer be doing royal responsibilities and would instead live a more autonomous life. Their later public remarks, interviews, and documentary work, in which they spoke about experiences of institutional apathy and claimed occurrences of racism in the context of their royal relationship, hurt the institution's image. The couple's interviews and media ventures, which reached people all over the world, turned what may have been private disagreements into issues of broader constitutional and cultural discussion. The split wasn't only between institutions. It was also quite personal, especially between William and Harry, who had been very close before and were a strong symbol of family continuity. The crisis involving Prince Andrew, the Duke of York, made people even more curious about the royal family's capacity to make good decisions and take responsibility. People thought his 2019 BBC interview was thoughtless and lacking in empathy since he was linked to Jeffrey Epstein and there were accusations of sexual assault against him. The immediate result was that Andrew stopped doing his public obligations, but the bigger impact was that it made people even more concerned about the family's ability to regulate itself and live up to the norms required of a high public position. These events combined made it seem like the institution was having trouble with contemporary expectations for openness, faster moral examination, and the constraints of dealing with public wrongdoings in private. In this situation of reputational risk and family breakdown, Catherine's stability and concentration made her more and more like a figure of continuity. Many people saw her and William as the more reliable, forward-looking core of the monarchy. Catherine followed the royal rule of never complain, never explain, so she didn't talk about family problems in public. Instead, she focused on real labor and visible duty. In 2023, her long-term commitment to early childhood development paid off with the start of the Shaping Us campaign, which is part of the Royal Foundation Center for Early Childhood. The campaign was founded on years of study and talks with experts. It showed her strategic, evidence-based approach to royal patronage, which aimed to change public policy and societal attitudes via long-term involvement instead of short-term exposure. Catherine, on the other hand, got a lot of positive, often substantial attention, while other family members caused trouble. When she was in public, she usually showed professionalism and kindness, and she was able to interact with people from diverse social groups. During a time of institutional stress, her reliability and dedication to her job made her a key asset. She took on more and more of the position of a senior stateswoman in the family. She was not only a consort to a future king, but also an institutional anchor in her own right, representing continuity, moderation, and duty. People saw how she methodically built links with charities, health agencies, and early years networks, creating a pool of reputation that the monarchy could use when it needed to boost public confidence. The monarchy became more vulnerable to the people in 2024. Kensington Palace announced early in the year that the Princess of Wales had scheduled stomach surgery and would take a break from her public responsibilities to recover. Not long after that, Buckingham Palace said that King Charles III had started treatment for an unnamed kind of cancer that was found during an operation to cure a benign prostate enlargement. The fact that these health problems happened at the same time to both the king and a key person in the following generation left a practical and symbolic gap in the family's public position. Prince William had to do a lot of balancing because of the two health issues. He had to balance his own worries for his wife and father with the public's expectation that he would bring stability, comfort, and some representation in state issues. The event showed how much the monarchy's ability to keep going hinges on a tiny number of people being able to do several different and frequently contradictory obligations at the same time. In practical terms, scheduling engagements, meetings with government ministers, trips abroad, and charitable commitments required quick adjustments. In emotional terms, the demands of caregiving and parental responsibilities put a lot of stress on a family that also had to follow the rules of statehood. Catherine's recuperation took place during a time when the public was tremendously curious about her. Without regular updates from the government, speculation, conspiracy theories, and rumors spread quickly online. In March, the mood became even worse when the palace issued a photo of the princess with her kids to celebrate Mother's Day, only to subsequently find that it had been digitally altered. The choice to change the picture and then share it led to criticism and made the concerns about the family's communication strategy and openness even louder. The incident showed how hard it is to manage a story in the digital age. Any effort at meticulous curating may backfire if people think it is fake or evasive, and the rapidity of internet response means mistakes are made practically immediately. The princess made a clear and bold decision against that unstable background. She uploaded a video on March 22nd in which she spoke honestly about her situation while sitting outside in a normal atmosphere. She sat on a park seat and said that tests done after her surgery had shown cancer and that she was getting early treatment to stop it from spreading. She called the event a huge shock and was honest about how hard it was to inform her small kids. By telling the news herself in a simple and personal way, she changed how the world saw her position. The reaction was quick and strong. People from all over the globe sent words of compassion and support, and there was a lot of praise for how honest she was. That decision of disclosure indicated a reassessment of the definition of royal strength in the modern context. Previous generations demonstrated resilience via stoicism and a hesitance to disclose personal vulnerabilities. In contrast, Catherine's transparency exemplified an alternative paradigm, one where honesty and the readiness to humanize institutional positions foster trust and empathy. Queen Elizabeth II's reign was often marked by a strong, steady example of duty and emotional restraint. Catherine's approach suggested that being emotionally honest could also be a way to lead, letting the monarchy connect with people who value personal stories and being relatable. Her letter hit home because it made her seem like a wife, a mother, and a person, instead of just a title and ceremony. In doing so, she made a connection with millions of people who have had sick family members and know how confusing medical news can be. The reaction showed that royal communication may build popular support instead of weakening it when it is personal and direct. It also solidified Catherine's position as a key sympathetic character in the contemporary monarchy. The public's empathy was not just for show. It showed how families in Britain and the Commonwealth identified with the worries and hopes that medical emergencies bring up in everyday life. The health problems that both the sovereign and a crucial prospective consort are facing have made the people think more about the monarchy's structure, purpose, and possible future leaders. People are looking at King Charles's plan to cut down on the size and cost of the monarchy in a realistic, often harsh way, as fewer people are now responsible for representation. In this situation, Prince William has to think about what it would be like to be king at a time when the family is going through a lot of hardship. His preparedness for constitutional and ceremonial obligations is now being evaluated not via theoretical succession issues, but by the tangible challenges of navigating sorrow, caring, and the public expectations associated with high office. The constitutional duties of senior royals, such as meeting with prime ministers, representing the country on state visits, and conducting national moments of commemoration, are still based on ritual and continuity, but they now have moral and symbolic power. How William and his advisors deal with the next several months will affect how people see the institution's ability to endure a lot of stress. For example, Giving certain tasks to other family members will show how well the slimmed-down model works in practice, and how quickly new arrangements can be made will show how well the family can manage. But if people want to keep their faith in the monarchy's long-term survival, a lot of it may depend on the relationship between William and Catherine. William has the legal and hereditary right to the throne, but Catherine's influence, built up over 20 years of gaining public support, successful campaigning, and the development of a legitimate public mission, has become a key part of the institution's attractiveness today. She has changed from a person who was once the target of tabloid contempt to a key role in the royal story, a symbol of calmness, responsibility, and a long-term dedication to public service. Her careful work on issues like early childhood development shows a bigger plan to exploit the subtle long-term effects of patronage to bring about societal change. By basing her public position on research-driven projects, she has shown that she is serious and wants to come up with ideas that will help shape policy instead of just doing nice things for the sake of doing nice things. That attitude, together with how open she was about her sickness, implies that a new paradigm of public leadership is forming, in which being real and thinking about the institution are not at odds with each other. The courage to talk directly about vulnerability, while yet pushing for evidence-based changes, combines the private and public registers in a manner that may appeal to voters in the 21st century who value both empathy and competence. There are bigger structural concerns that go beyond the immediate human drama. People's views on the monarchy have always been shaped by their age and background. Younger generations are less likely to be loyal to hereditary institutions. Thus, the monarchy must always show that it is important by making a real difference in civic life. When the institution is under stress, people often ask about the costs of palaces' security and ceremonies. This is a common issue. There is public discussion over the sovereign grant and other ways to get money, and if support for them keeps going down, politicians could ask for changes again. This isn't new. But when health problems afflict important people, it may speed up the conversation by putting more focus on how the monarchy works on a daily basis and how to pass the crown. On the other hand, media relations are at a crossroads. The royal family's long history with the press has been a mix of regulated collaboration and blatant animosity. The terrible lessons of the Diana years, the fights with tabloids that went too far, and the broken relationships with certain outlets in recent years, all of this affects how we communicate now. Catherine's honest speech might be seen as a strategic reaction to the loss of private control. When concealment leads to conjecture, openness can re-establish control by establishing the facts and the tone. But these kinds of disclosures only work if they are followed up on frequent appropriate updates and an understanding that today's media ecosystem includes not just conventional newspapers and television, but also social media, where false information may spread quickly. The monarchy's ability to change will also rely on how strong and ready the families that support senior royals are. Sophisticated teams take care of security scheduling, communications, and public engagement. When key people suddenly leave, it tests the depth of the institution. In the next weeks and months, staff continuity and the ability to easily transfer tasks to other family members and professional teams will be very important. The manner in which the institution handles caring for impacted royals and how people see these arrangements will also influence how the public judges them. People are likely to respond favorably to apparent compassion and human care, but negatively to perceived secrecy or detachment. There are likewise effects on other countries. The monarch is the head of state for a number of Commonwealth nations, and in such countries the health of the sovereign and the smooth running of the monarchy are both important constitutional issues. Foreign governments, diplomatic missions, and Commonwealth organizations will carefully monitor any persistent incapacity or constitutional uncertainty. In the past, transfers were handled with strict rules. Today, however, the media is watching closely, and there are political sensitivities in certain areas, so there is less opportunity for confusion. Ultimately, the House of Windsor's existence and significance in the next decades will depend on several factors, including constitutional frameworks, popular sentiment media interactions, and the character of its leaders. The current time of difficulty has made it clear that the monarchy's destiny will not be decided just by family ties or ceremonial skills. How well its leaders exemplify qualities that are important to people today, including empathy, competence, and a willingness to deal honestly with personal and national problems, will influence it. Catherine came from a normal life of working in the home and running her own business. She has slowly built up a position that is known for being thoughtful and kind. Now she is a key player in this drama that is still developing. The lady who never wanted to wear a crown has become essential to the one who will wear it. She embodies responsibility, resilience, and humanity, which may serve to define the monarchy for a new age. Her individual journey imparts several insights for the institution at large. First, being real may help keep things stable. When royals talk from a position of real experience and back it up with a history of real labor, they tend to earn the public's trust for a long time. Second, being patient and focusing on the long-term, investing in problems that take decades to develop, instead of looking for quick headlines, can help you change policy and build a reputation for being serious. Third, effective communication that strikes a balance between honesty and respect may lessen the harmful consequences of rumors while keeping the mystery that surrounds the monarchy's ceremonial function. None of this makes sure that the institution will survive. The basis of constitutional monarchy is a combination of historical legitimacy, popular support, and political neutrality. It always has to show that it is useful for the country. The current health issues are both a test of the monarchy's strength and a chance to show how important it is by becoming involved with people. People all across the globe, not just in Britain, will be watching how William and Catherine deal with their private sadness, their public duties, and the realities of a changing crown. The House of Windsor will be able to satisfy the needs of a contemporary government based on their decisions, such as how they communicate with the public, how they handle family disagreements, and how they run an institution that is under a lot of stress. For now, Catherine's choice to notify the world herself clearly, gently, and without any drama has changed the way people are talking about it. It has shown that being vulnerable and being responsible can go hand in hand, and that a contemporary king or consort may lead by being clear and personal without losing the importance of the position they hold. The balance between privacy and publicness will be fragile in the coming days. The family has to safeguard the space needed for healing and introspection, while yet being open enough to keep the public's trust. If William and Catherine's partnership lasts, if they keep showing competence, compassion, and a desire to do real public service, the monarchy may come out of this time changed, but still standing with a new claim to importance based on human decency and a long-term goal. Thank you for watching the video. Please let us know your thoughts, and goodbye for now.